4th of July, the Filipino community back in the mid, as far as I can remember, the mid 1950s, would meet up here on the 4th of July to basically have a little festival and celebration of the Filipino community. And so back in those days, there, about 100 or 150 people would show up, and we would have the food, pancit, adobo, some traditional Filipino foods, and then there over, in the field over here, they would set up games for the kids and even the adults. I remember my mother playing softball over at the field right over here. And so, yeah, it was just, it was always a fun time to come here. Since the Filipino community has grown since then, there's a festival that's held every summer up here. It's called Pista Sanayon. And so that's again, kind of a celebration of the Filipino community. Well, to my knowledge, it was, it had, two significance. Okay, one was, the U.S., celebrated, its independence. But at the same time, the Philippines was also celebrating its independence. And so it had, kind of a double meaning. You just got into the car and your dad and mom would just kind of drive over here and said, we're going to Seward Park. And you'll see some of your friends who at that time most of the Filipinos were living either in the central area or here in Rainier Valley, and so for us to travel all the way over here to Seward Park was an opportunity to see the rest of our community. Oh yeah, it was very exciting because you came down here and you played in the woods, and you basically just had the park to yourself. You could go swimming down at the lake. I remember blowing off a few firecrackers, over here in the woods. Yeah, and it was fun to play some of the games. We had races. I remember not being the fastest kid, but it was a lot of fun. We had what other games we played were sack races. Remember those sack races? And throwing the eggs. That was always a fun one. Yeah, because it was the summer, and you're getting to the car, and you're leaving West Seattle. And coming to just a different place. Yeah, Pista Sanayon is held here, where they have a lot of activities, a lot of cultural dances, performers. Yeah, it's a fun time. A lot of good food. Occasionally I'll show up to Pista Sanayon, but not as often. Haven't been for a few years, but I always know that the Filipino community, always likes to have a good time, and so yeah. Well, it was a great opportunity for bringing our kids now to show them, our community, our culture. My daughters, performed for the Filipino Youth Activities folk dancing group. My mother and father, they also sang. They were called the Young Ones. It was a senior group, and they would sing. My mother, who belonged to the Filipino War Brides Association, which is an organization that actually my father founded. They were known in the community for also doing cultural dances. So yeah, and so that's when that it was an opportunity to connect our young people to our culture, heritage. Yeah, it's really important because you don't learn these things in school. These are things that if you're not learning it at home, you're just not learning it. And I think, you know, many of us in my generation um, feel a little bit sorry, you know, because we've assimilated so much into our culture, American culture, that, you know, many of us, particularly born back then, we don't speak a dialect, you know. In my case, my parents spoke different dialects, and so they even couldn't, they had to speak English to each other. But for many Filipinos, yeah, you know, you want to, nowadays you really want to hold on to that culture. You know, you want to be able to, you know, speak your dialect. You want to be bilingual. You know, I mean, you know, it's important for us, our generation, to pass that on to other generations.